We're all so excited that you're here. Wow, what a great room of people. So excited I can see some of your faces. So fun. This is so great. Man, I love technology. What a great and amazing blessing to be able to see all your faces. And um, I'm especially excited to be hosting you guys today for the first ever virtual admitted student week. Wow. You can say that you were part of the first ever virtual admitted students week. We're so thankful that you are rolling with the punches that this COVID-19 is throwing us, and really just excited to share more about Biola with you all. We're so sad that we're not able to welcome you on campus, but we're so glad that everyone's taking the necessary precautions to be safe. I know that we're all adjusting to this new virtual reality. Virtual reality. You never thought that would be a word, but this is our reality in the virtual world. And we know it's an adjustment, but we're so glad you're in this with us together. My name is Stephanie Ramirez, and I am the Assistant Director of Parent Relations. So my job is to serve and support parents of current students at Biola throughout their students' education. So for you as a parent, as much as you've found value in your admissions counselor as the go-to person for everything that you've needed regarding Biola, you have no fear. That doesn't stop with admissions. You actually have someone at the university that you can refer to for future questions throughout your students' education. So if they have questions about grading systems or changes to curriculum or things like that, you can always call my office. And even if I don't know the answer, I can help you find the right office to connect with. So I'm just gonna give you guys a brief overview of what the session is gonna look like, and then I'm gonna let our panelists introduce themselves. So today we're going to be talking through some important topics for parents, including campus safety, residence life, student development, and the Career Center. So if you have any questions during the session, please feel free to submit them in the chat box. And if we have time, we definitely would like to answer them. We have quite a few questions that were submitted to us prior to us coming online. So we're going to work through those first, and any questions that we don't get to, myself and all the panelists are dedicated to following up with you personally and making sure that you get the answers to those questions if we didn't have a chance to get to them. So with that, I'm just going to again welcome those who are joining us last minute. We're just so excited that you're going to come, and feel free to use the chat feature to submit any questions throughout. So with that, if Tiffany, if you would lead us off and give your introduction, and we'll start rolling.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Stephanie. My name is Tiffany Lee, and I am the Director of Career Development and Success, basically the Career Center on campus. And yeah, a little bit about me. I've been at Biola almost 12 years working in career development, and I love what I do. The Career Center is really here to empower students to thrive in their careers and their career preparation at Biola and then beyond Biola when they graduate. So I have a staff. We're 6 full-time staff, and we also have about 16 student workers. We call them peer internship ambassadors, and I'll tell you a little bit about them in a little bit. But we really work to partner with our academic departments to help empower students to grow in their careers. And we really focus on 3 areas. It's kind of our tagline. We say explore, experience, connect. So really helping students to explore themselves, their giftedness, their interests, careers that they might enjoy, majors if that's the place that they're in, and then their calling, exploring calling and what that means to their faith. And then at Biola, you'll start hearing, as you talk to academic departments, we really have a focus on internships and helping students get experience in the world, applying their academic major in a professional setting. And so internships is a real value here at Biola. And so our office works alongside the academic departments to really coach students on how to find internships, and everything that goes into job searching there. And then also connection connection with employers, connection with alumni, as mentors. So we really focus on those three things: explore, experience, connect. We offer one-on-one career advising, usually in our office, but also virtual. We also do company tours where we're taking students out to companies when we can, and also hosting employers on campus for employer workshops. We offer two career expos on campus, as well as a graduate school fair. So we're doing a lot throughout the year to help students discern what's next for them, and to really experiment and try new things, and find their direction for after Biola.
Great. Thank you, Tiffany. Chief O, would you introduce yourself?
Sure. Um, my name is John Jescober. I serve as Chief of Campus Safety, here, at Biola. And my, background is I spent about, 2 decades growing up, in West Africa with 18 brothers and sisters. And while I was back in West Africa, I had competed in track and field. My event was long jump. I could jump as far as 26 foot, 2 inches, then, and competed worldwide. I'm older now. I can jump more than 4 feet, now. Came to Biola in the process. Went to school here. Met my spouse here, and today we are blessed, with 5 beautiful, children. Aside from serving as Chief of Campus Safety, here, I also serve as an adjunct faculty member here, teaching a unit self-defense class, for women. We teach our female students how to be aware of the surroundings, how to recognize if something's not right, and if something's not right, what are the steps they could take. And that does not pertain to our campus. It's if our students go off campus, because our campus is a very safe place. In the weekends, when my wife allows me to, I put on my other uniform as a sworn police officer in the city of Garden Grove, and I primarily walk in the evenings there as well. Our department of campus safety operates 24 hours a day. We never close, and we have about 80 employees within our department. Here we have our own live 911 call center system, and we tend to focus on 3 main areas. And one is essential services. Services such as safety escorts. If we have students that are coming from off campus late at night, and they need escorts from the parking lot to their dormitory, we'll give them escorts, or from one end to the campus. Last year, we conducted about 1,700 safety escorts, and that does not connote that there's safety issues on campus. It's just one more services that makes students feel safety, especially late at night. We also focus on crime and safety on campus here, primarily because we want our students to be safe, and we want them to feel safe, so that they can concentrate in the reason why they're here, and that is to focus on their studies. The third area that my department is in charge of is the university emergency preparedness. And that means, from not just from preparedness, but also, to the response and recovery in event that we have, for example, a major earthquake, here. So those are the 3 areas. The fourth area is, which is new, is when students travel on mission trip. My department is responsible, for preparing them, taking a look at where the students are going, look at risk. If the risks are high, then we will most likely, cancel the trip.
of housing and residence life here at Biola. So in my team, I have 13 full-time staff members and 7 graduate assistants. So we have a pretty big team of students leaders. In addition to that, we have about 80 student leaders who fall under our department. And those student leaders, known as resident advisors, the resident directors, and our graduate assistants, as well as our housing staff, are all here to help with students' undergraduate housing experience. So we are kind of the go-to point people from day one of applying for housing to moving onto campus, and then the residential experience that students have. So we have 9 residence halls, and in each of those residence halls, we have a full-time staff member who is a master's level professional that lives on campus in that building and is there to help support and care for your student. In addition, we have, like I mentioned, those resident advisors who are student leaders who have lived on campus for at least 1 year, often more, and they are really here to help support and serve students in a even more direct level. So they have a smaller group of students who they live on the same floor with, who they are creating programs for and providing connection and resources to. I would describe a lot of the people on my team as kind of the go-to resourcers. So we don't always have all the answers, but we know a lot of the people who do. And we are really there from day one to provide support for your students. And then we also get to help create that living community that students get to live in, to really craft the co-curricular experience. So what's happening educationally alongside what each student is learning in the classroom.
Great. Thanks, Natalie. And then Lee Wilhite, will you share?
You bet. Glad to do it. Super excited to be with you guys today. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Lee Wilhite. I serve as Vice President for Enrollment, Marketing, and Communications here at Biola. It's a big title, but basically it's a wonderful team of people, probably many of whom you've interacted with already on the admissions side. Our enrollment team consists of undergraduate admissions counselors, graduate admissions counselors, what we call post-traditional undergraduate counselors. We've got a financial aid team that works closely with our students as well. Transfer counselors, those that might be transferring in from other community colleges. So a great team of people working on the enrollment front, and then an equally great team working on the marketing front, overseeing our website and our creative needs of the university, all of our market research, our advertising for the university, all those things to get the word out and tell the story about Biola is really at the forefront of our marketing team. And then our communications team, which oversees our social media accounts. Some of you guys have tuned into our Instagram and other accounts we have that way. We manage those things for the university, as well as government relations, university events, some other things like that. So we're a team of about 130 strong, a great team we call EMC, Team EMC, Enrollment Marketing Communications. Thrilled to lead that team. I joined Biola a little over 5 years ago and came from the Seattle, Washington area, where I co-ran a marketing agency up there, and it's been a great experience for me here at Biola. I'm also Biola dad, and I've got 2 daughters at Biola right now. One's a junior studying psychology, and one's a freshman pursuing her Bachelor of Fine Arts in graphic design. And so it's been super exciting for our family, not only to help lead the university forward in my role on the cabinet for the university, but also to be a dad and to really experience and walk the shoes of you parents out there on the call today that are wanting to get your questions answered and to help solidify your decision even further to join us in the fall. So great to be with you today. Thanks so much for your time, and we hope it's a productive time for you all.
And then Carrie from Student Success, could you introduce yourself?
Of course. Well, it's such a pleasure to be with you all today. My name is Dr. Carrie Stockton. I work as the Associate Vice President of Student Success and Academic Engagement. This is actually my 19th year working at the university. I've had a number of hats at the university, but as of now, my title refers to an umbrella area that actually you've already heard from. Tiffany is a part of my team in the career development area. I also have the area of academic advising, our study abroad area, undergraduate retention and success, as well as our rhetoric and writing center, and our English language program for multilingual students. So I have the pleasure, the distinct pleasure of really thinking about your students thriving academically, vocationally, and am accountable for that really as a leader at Biola. And so it's such a privilege. Really, when we think about student success, academic engagement as a team, what we think about is how we can kind of help students personalize their academic experience through what I think you heard Tiffany describe already, a process of discovery, helping students find ways that God has uniquely gifted each of them, but helping them kind of find things that will light them up in the classroom and outside of the classroom. So part of that comes through just really helping them tailor their academic experience. Some of the things you've heard us refer to, like study abroad or doing a summer study tour, participating in an internship, researching with a faculty member. There are so many ways for a student to make Biola something that only they could experience because of their unique gifts, talents, and our student success team really just loves helping students kind of find that niche, make meaning of all of their experiences, and put the pieces together so that they can go out into the world and really just be an incredible light and joy to the people around them. So it's a pleasure to get to be with you today.
Great, thanks, Carrie. So we are going to get started off, and I'm going to try and kind of spread the questions out amongst the different panelists so we get to hear from a variety of different speakers. Just to give you guys a heads up, you can see that we're already 20 minutes in and we've just done introductions. So I know on your schedule, we were scheduled for just a half an hour, but if you guys are willing to stick around, we probably will go till 4:15 or so. Again, past that, we don't want to keep you too much longer. And questions that maybe weren't answered, we'll make sure to follow up with. But just wanted to give you a heads up if you're like, how the heck are they gonna finish up in 10 minutes? We're gonna try it. As long as you're willing to stick around, we'll be here to answer your questions. So feel free to come and go as you need to, but we are here and excited to answer your questions. So on to the first question. So this one is for Natalie. How many years are you required to live on campus? And how long do most students choose to live on campus? Are there lots of close off-campus housing? So that's for Natalie. Can she hear me?
She's frozen.
It seems as Natalie might be frozen. She might have logged off and back on. So we will come back to Natalie. We'll come back to that question. Chief O, could you kind of address a two-in-one question? So listen carefully. Just kidding. So we will have a question. How is the crime rate in the surrounding areas, and how is students' security and safety maintained? And we did get just a question through the chat. Into that, what's the minimum officers that we have on patrol at a given point? And what are some of the patrol methods that are used?
Thank you for that, Stephanie. So as far as the safety within the city and even the county and the surrounding areas, within the city of La Mirada, there are about 13 crime reporting districts, and Biola is one of them right there in the middle. When we compare, crime reporting district, to the other 12, we rank among the safest in the city. And the city of La Mirada is already, ranked very, very high and safe among other cities in the county of Los Angeles, and well beyond. But I'm sure that everyone will understand that even if our campus is very safe, no place is immune, from the property-related crimes. So when I say property-related crimes, just a very small, volume, where our students, feel so safe, that they, go to the coffee shop, off campus and leave their wallet, unattended. Believing that, okay, it's an extension of campus because our campus is safe. So one of the ways that we use, to continue to keep our campus a very, very safe place is we promote awareness among our students, to educate them not just pertaining to campus, but also pertaining to when they go off campus. We patrol our campus 24 hours a day. And in terms of how many officers we have at any given time, our minimum is 3 officers per shift on a 95 acre campus, which we operate by zones, zone patrol system. And in the PM hours between 4 p.m. and 2 o'clock in the morning, we'll range between 4 and 6 officers all the way to 2 o'clock in the morning. We have a fence around our campus, which is about, I'll say about 70% fence around it, which helps significantly. We have about 250 cameras that we use for proactive and reactive reasons. We have excellent partnership with Natalie's area from the student residence life department. And also we have excellent partnership with the Los Angeles County Sheriff Department. But through it all, even if our campus is a safe place, we always seek ways to monitor what's going on in the city and the surrounding cities. And then we'll come back to put proactive measures in place, because what's happening in the cities, wherever the city is, ends up on the nearby college campus somehow. So we've been very, very, very successful as far as trying to use that to our advantage by being proactive.
It's great. Thanks to you. So I believe Natalie is back on. Is that right? No? Nope. Okay.
Yes,
We'll keep
I'm here.
going.
I'm here.
Oh, yay! We have her. We hear her. Natalie, had you heard the question as it was phrased? Would you be ready to respond, or do you need to hear the question?
If you could ask it one more time, that would be great.
That's probably a good idea for those who may have forgotten to. So how many years are you required to live on campus? And how long do most students choose to live on campus? Attached to that, are there lots of close off-campus housing options?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we don't actually base our residency requirement on number of years. We base it on age. So any student who is under 20 years old on the first day of fall classes is required to live in campus housing for the entire academic year, which ends up working out to being usually your freshman and sophomore year you would live on campus. We do have a lot of juniors and seniors who do opt to live on campus as well. We actually have a number of off-campus apartment buildings that are owned by Biola that are run under my department. So we do programming and create community, but give upperclassmen students the opportunity to engage in a little more independent living experience through that. There are also a number of apartment buildings and rental options that are available in the area for students who are eligible to live off campus. But a majority of our incoming students would fall in the required to live on campus category. The one exception would be if a student does choose to commute from a parent or guardian's home that's within a certain commute radius. And if that is something that your student is interested in exploring, we do have a request to commute form that they can fill out online.
Great. Thanks, Natalie. This question is for Tiffany. What are the statistics for Biola students finding jobs after graduating?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do an annual survey of our new grads. Actually, we just opened one up for our classes graduating here in May. So we collect a lot of data on where our students go. And over the past couple of years, we're right around 88% of our students landing in employment or in continuing education, so grad school, within 6 months after leaving Biola. And that's a pretty standard data point that all the universities are really tracking, where their students go within six months. I am excited to say that number we're outpacing the national average. So we're really excited about where our students are going. Another thing that we are really, I mentioned internships before as a value on our campus. We're at close to 80% of our students do at least one internship during their time at Biola. So there's a lot of research that shows that internships correlate to positive career outcomes. So time to get hired after graduation, as well as how closely that job is aligned to students' career goals. So we really double down on internships at Biola so that we can, as a way to prepare our students to obtain those first jobs after Biola. Yeah, I
Great.
think that
Thank
answers the
you.
question. Yeah.
That's great. Carrie, do you mind addressing? I'm going to do a 2-for-1 question. What makes Biola different from other universities, and how is my student prepared for life after Biola?
Yeah, wow. That's a pretty big combined question, Stephanie. I'll see what I can do. Well, my first answer when I saw this question ahead of time was just that for me, what makes Biola different are the students who choose us. And when I think about my almost 20 years working here, I think about the research that says peers can be one of the most, if not the most impactful aspect of a college experience. And so when I think about our students, I just think they are the most kind, generous, winsome, like looking for Jesus people that I meet regularly. And when I think about, the choice of a college, I think that who you get to be in class with and living in dorms with is a major factor in the decision-making process. So that's maybe that's a cop-out answer, because that's like who we get to be a part of our community who selects us. But that's one thing I think about. The other thing or the other two things I think about are really that we have a faculty who love their students. Even as I've watched the last 30 days, right, as we've made this transition to remote learning and to a new dynamic for a lot of our faculty members, they are so committed to the students in their classroom. They are so kind of caring, and every time we're talking about kind of where our students are, what they need, our faculty are wanting to anticipate, to be ahead of, to be supporting and helping and flexing and doing whatever we can to see them succeed. And I think that's because of their deep faith, but their deep faith also informs the way that they teach and the way that they love their disciplines and how they think about and present ideas to our students. And so just an extraordinary group of educators who come alongside students. The third thing I think about is something that you probably have heard through the admissions experience, and Lee might talk about this if given the opportunity, but that's really our intentional emphasis on biblical integration, theological training for students, and the fact that every student as part of their core curriculum is studying the Bible, and that we don't think about that in a lane by itself. We think about that as it integrates across the general education requirements into the major. We're very intentional about how we prepare students with the kind of patterns of thought, action, heart to be toward Jesus in the way that they learn and pursue their education. So that's my question to what makes Biola different. That's my answer. That's a little long. But when I think about how students are prepared, there's really some relationship there, right? That what the faculty are doing in the classroom is preparing students for life after Biola, what students are getting from the core curriculum, things like cultural humility and character development and skills related to what employers are looking for. There's a whole host of things I could say about that. You've already heard Tiffany talk about internships and applied learning. We also are starting to do some work in terms of helping students think innovatively and creatively. We have kind of a lane of entrepreneurism that we're trying to develop related to the startup competition and an entrepreneurship society. We run a thing called Praxis Academy in the summer. So a whole kind of host of things. And I think also about sort of your life after Biola. A lot of it is work, right? We talk about that. Most of your waking hours are spent in employment, but a lot of your life is lived in community. So our students are really thinking about how to be a part of a local church, how to be a part of the neighborhood that they live in. And I think it's just an exciting place to be prepared for life after Biola.
Great. Thank you, Carrie.
Mhm.
This next question is for Lee. Will there be any financial aid provided for international students due to the COVID-19 crisis?
Yeah, great question. We have a number of options we provide our international students right now, many financial aid options. If you haven't engaged your admissions counselor, I would really encourage that. Certainly, there's a number to choose from. And the university right now is entering into some conversations around some other aid that we might be able to provide. We don't know the full extent of that yet. We're still talking through those things. We know that families are experiencing any range of responses to the COVID situation. And so we're trying to do as best we can to identify additional resources for our students, for our families. And so as those conversations unfold, I think over the next weeks and months to come, we'll make that available to you. And so keep your eyes and ears open that way. But we want to do all that we can to try to support our families during this time.
Great. Thank you, Lee. Natalie from Housing and Residence Life. Could you share with us a little bit about how roommates are chosen? Are they given at random? And maybe even tie some of the important housing dates and deadlines that they should remember.
Definitely. So I'll start with the housing dates because that then kind of leads into the roommate parts of things. So our housing application is open until the first day of classes in the fall. So students can apply for housing at any point. However, we would strongly encourage incoming students to complete their application before June 1st. The reason for that is after June 1st, we go through and we is the housing staff on my team will actually go through each student's application and hand place incoming students with other students, taking into account where possible building preference, but we really prioritize your answers or your students' answers to their preferences on when they like to wake up in the morning, what their study habits are, what kind of space they're hoping to create in their kind of new home of their residence hall. And we look at all of those preferences that students fill out, as well as the preferred hall they're hoping to live in. And we, by hand, go through and put students together to live with one another. It's not perfect, we are fallible, but we try really hard with a lot of care, intention, and prayer to put students together who we think will be compatible in their living style. So would strongly encourage students to be honest in how they're filling out that application. It can be easy to dream of what you want life to be. We would encourage students to answer it based on what their experience has been of their life in high school. And we would strongly encourage you to fill out the application by June 1st. After that point, that kind of initial placement of roommates, we will still do our best to place people, but the pool is smaller because we've done that kind of initial placement with our biggest group of students. So those are the dates and how you would get placed with a roommate.
Great. Thank you, Natalie. Chief I know this next question is a passion of yours. The question is regarding campus safety preparing for crisis. And how safe the area is in LA, which I think you kind of addressed that. But could you give us a quick summary of just some ways that campus safety prepares for crisis? Maybe give a teaser for your orientation seminar where you go more into that.
Sure. Yes. So when we think about crisis, so much and much more, comes to mind. The expectation from our president and his cabinet is for us, to be proactive at all times. And that means what? We want to be, 10 steps, ahead as best as possible. On campus, what we've developed, 4 layers of teams. The first layer is an emergency response team, which is comprised of 14 key areas who are readily available, 24 hours a day, to respond to major crisis, situations. The second layer of team is the president's cabinet, who makes high-level decisions. The third level of our emergency preparedness team is our emergency building coordinators, and I want to just mention a little bit about them here. We have about 128 of them, and they are in every single building on our campus. Oh, yes, we have about 50 buildings on campus, but some buildings have about 5 or 6 or even 7 emergency building coordinators. And their role is, in the event of a major earthquake, they've been trained, to help us, to evacuate students, to an evacuation assembly point. And from that evacuation assembly point, they will communicate to our emergency operations, center, to relay, what their needs, are. And these emergency building coordinators, are equipped with handheld radios, so that means, communication can go between us and them. Same method of communication, can go from us, to the sheriff department and local emergency services. So we have this unique communication network that we've built. The fourth team that I would like to highlight is our emergency medical technicians. We have a health center on campus that operates up to 5 p.m. But after 5 p.m., I have 4 officers who are trained to be EMTs, and they have a variety of duties that they can perform from 4 a.m. from 5 p.m. all the way until the next morning when the health center come on campus. A little bit further in terms of apparatus, we have door locking mechanisms in classrooms and dorm rooms. We have response guides, inside classrooms and dorm rooms and public areas. Students, will be well attuned, to evacuation assembly point, which has been designated across our entire campus, itself. We conduct training exercise, for students twice a year, campus lockdown exercise, earthquake exercise and drills. And I want to highlight, this last one here, and that is, in event of a major earthquake, we realize that, it could impact this entire region, here. So what we've invested in for the last 10 years are storage containers that have supplies for 7 to 14 days, food, water, medical supplies. We also have supplies for our facilities management team, heavy, power tools. And in relation to this, way back in January, in relation to, COVID-19, we actually mass supplies, on, campus, because we're able to proactively, forecast what may be coming. And that helped us, significantly in managing our students that were still on campus then and up to this point.
Great. Thank you, Chivo. Tiffany, do you mind speaking really quickly about just some career paths and internships that might be available for a fine arts or an English major?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those are two different two different majors there, but yeah, let me talk about fine arts for a little bit. I would say our fine arts program actually has a very good internship program as part of the requirements for the degree, which is really great. They have a great internship faculty member. The main career paths that our fine arts students explore are studio arts, studio galleries. A lot of our students are finding internships in galleries. They're going into, especially our design students are looking at more corporate settings, doing graphic design work, or agencies doing graphic design. And then also museums and education. So those are kind of the main career pathways and some of the areas that our students in the fine arts tend to explore as far as internships go. I think the second part of that question was regarding English majors. English is a great program. Our English students are trained with the skills that a wide variety of skills that employers look for, but specifically communication skills, written and oral communication, and critical thinking as well. And so those are highly sought after skills, but an English major can go into a wide range of fields. Specifically, our students say, I would say the biggest group of our English majors are interested in actually media and entertainment. And so sitting in Southern California in the LA area, it's a great industry to tap into, to take English communication, writing skills into that industry, online media, and also publishing. That's another big industry area that we see our students finding internships in. We have a lot of really good relationships with employers in both media and publishing here in Southern California. And then we have with English, we have our students who are also interested in education, but a good group of them are interested in nonprofit work. And I think that applies actually across many majors. A lot of our students have a heart for serving others with whatever skills, from business to public relations, film, English, art. A lot of our students are interested in using their skills to serve, to make an impact in the world for Christ. And so oftentimes they're doing that through ministries or nonprofit work. So yeah, those are some of the things that our students in those areas are interested in. I hope that answers the question. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Tiffany. We are quickly running out of time. I told you that would run by fast. So I'm going to jump down to asking some questions of Lee, just because I want to make sure that they are COVID-19 specific questions, and I know that parts know more about this. So Lee, could you name 2 questions, and if you need me to repeat them, I'm happy to. Is Biola planning on opening again for fall 2020? And then what are we done to support students through the COVID-19 crisis?
Yeah, thanks so much, Stephanie. Great question. And I could talk for probably 10 or 15 minutes on both of those. But yeah, the quick answer is yes, we're planning for students to arrive this fall. We obviously have to abide by the local authorities, county health department, state department, national regulations, ordinances, and things like that go into effect. We try to stay attuned to that. Obviously, we want above all the safety of our students, our employee community, on all those things. But truth be told, we want our students back. We want to have them back this fall. And so we're working closely with our campus safety office under Chief John's leadership, our health center. We know that if we return this fall, we're going to have to set up some additional health protocols and precautionary kinds of things for our students. So we're talking about that actively right now, just to make sure that when students return back, they can have a safe and healthy experience. It's a challenging time for universities. Some are really trying to determine what they're going to do in the fall. We're holding out at this point, hoping that God allows us to open our campus this fall, have all of our students back. We desperately want to be back as a campus community. And so that's what we're working towards at this point. Obviously, we live in kind of a day-to-day environment. If something were to change, if we were mandated by one of those authorities to not open, then we would need to abide by that. But at this point, we're working proactively so that we're going to be open this fall, offering classes and courses and all the support services and things that have been referenced on this call today. So as it relates to our response to COVID-19, I think that was the secondary question. Did I get that right, Stephanie?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, so it's been vast. I mean, obviously, weeks ago, we went to a remote online learning format. We moved our students off campus just to protect any kind of contraction of the disease or spreading of the disease. All of our support services have been referenced even today, from career and internship that Tiffany's talked about, to the Learning and Writing Center services, to pastoral care and support and counseling services. All of those things are available to our students today in a virtual format, so we're making that available. We've also made some adjustments for incoming students like yourselves, and I think it's maybe good to highlight a couple of those. So typically, as you know, our decision date for students to make their deposits, to express their decision of where they're going to enroll in the fall is May 1. We've extended that to June 1 this year, just to allow families another 30 days or so to process those decisions. We've also lowered the deposit fee to $100, just to, again, be helpful to our families that way. The housing fee has also been lowered as well to $100. So again, trying to do what we can on that front. We have decided to waive SAT and ACT scores as a part of our missions requirements this fall. So if you're a late one who's admitting and you couldn't get the spring exam in this year and you need to go ahead and file, please do so. We want to consider that in full. We've extended what we call our test optional program that way as well. So there's some things on that front that that we've done. And then we're accepting some pass and no pass classes from high school transcripts as well. So if you're in a situation at your high school where you went to a pass, no pass arrangement, we're considering that as well as a part of our admissions review. So with those things considered, we're still looking for wonderful students like yourselves that have a deep desire to study an environment like Biola provides, and we're looking forward to welcoming as many of you on campus as we can this fall.
Thank you, Lee. Really appreciate you speaking into that. We're just going to ask one more quick question of Carrie, round us out. If you don't mind, could you just share maybe some exciting news, or not news, or kind of share some more information about study abroad and what opportunities that provides to a student?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. You know, we have two main options for study abroad, and the first is the one that you traditionally think of, which is to take a semester and go live in another country for a full semester, which is a great option. And we have programs on every continent, places like New Zealand, Indonesia, Australia, Oxford, Ecuador, just a whole list of places, Uganda, places that students can go. The second option is to take a summer study tour with maybe just one class as your emphasis. And so that provides a lot of flexibility for students around varying kind of locations and kind of flexibility in terms of curriculum and major fit. I think somebody asked a caveat to that question about how do majors line up. And so some options are super flexible. Our Biola London program can be done with almost any major. Others are a little more narrow because they may only have major classes in a handful of different disciplines. So it's an exciting option. And I think we sent 11 students to Ecuador this spring, and their plans were a little bit disrupted by this season, but we were so pleased with the ways that our study abroad providers handled the health and safety of our students, education of our students. It's really encouraging to see just the sort of capacity of those abroad locations to flex with us and love our students well. So I hope your students will consider that option. It's a great one.
Great. Thank you, Carrie. Well, that's going to conclude, unfortunately, our questions for today. For those who submitted questions prior to this event and submitted through the chat as we were talking, we've taken note of your names and your emails, and I will personally be reaching out to you with answers from any of our panelists to hopefully, bring some clarity to those questions. And I know that you guys are in a big decision point in your year, and we really want to help you get the answers that you need to make an educated, godly wisdom decision for you and for your student. And we don't take that lightly. I want you to know that we are so excited that your student applied to Biola, and even more excited they were accepted. Having an admissions background, I know personally that we only accept those who we feel are great academic and spiritual and community fits for our university. So I want to let you know that you have God-fearing, excellent academic students in your families, and we would be honored to be able to call them a part of our family. I am always amazed by the students that I meet on campus. I always think there can't be a kinder student or a friendlier student or a smarter student than this. And each year they blow me away with the academic class that comes in and just their on fire love for Jesus. And so we're excited about the world changers that are coming into our community, and we're really hoping that they're your students. So if there's anything that our office, any of our offices can do to resource you, please let us know. Reach out to your admissions counselor, but also feel free to email me at parents@biola.edu. Begin our relationship now. I've been at Biola with my undergrad and my working experience for almost 12 years. So Biola is definitely a huge part of my life so far. And I love Biola and love being a resource to our communities. So please utilize me. It's actually a huge joy to my life. So with that, I'm just going to end us in prayer, and I look forward to reaching out to you and communicating with you over email and phone in the near future. So if you'll just bow your heads with me, I'll say a quick prayer and bless us for this afternoon. Heavenly Father, we thank you for these families. We thank you for the ways that you are sustaining them day by day. in the midst of uncertain and unique circumstances. We know that God, nothing panics you. Lord, we know that heaven is not shaken, though the earth may be shaken. Lord, you sit enthroned, and every day that was destined for us has been written in your book. And we get to just turn the page and uncover what you have for us. So Lord, I just ask that you would make it clear for these parents, these aunts, these uncles, these grandparents, these sponsors, these guardians, and these students, what ultimately your will for them is. I pray that they find find assurance in the fact that they cannot do anything apart from your will, as long as they are desiring to please you. Lord, that you delight in their desire to please you and delight in their pursuit of righteousness, and you will catch them and guide them all the days of their life. So we thank you for this time. We pray that it blessed them and gave them the assurance and the insight they need to make a decision, whether it's Biola or somewhere else. We honor you, and we look forward to the day we get to see them in person, in flesh and blood, on our campus, as we unite as one family and one community. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen. Thank you again for carving out the time during your COVID-19 remote living. We are so excited to, like I said in my prayer, see you in flesh and blood on our campus, hopefully this August. So thanks again, and blessings to you all.